Let's bring in Tonya McNeal-Weary. She's the founder and executive director for the Michigan Association for Female Entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for being up with us.
Hi, good morning, and thank you for having me.
I love what you all are doing. For those not familiar with your organization, bring us up to speed as to your mission.
Yes, so I started Michigan Association for Female Entrepreneurs in 2003 when I had just moved to Detroit from Chicago. So I was new in the city. I didn't know anyone here in Detroit. And there I was starting a business in a new city, looking for resources and just looking for other women who I could network and share ideas with. And so what started out as an idea to just bring women together as a supportive network turned into a nonprofit organization that has serviced over 1,500 women across the state of Michigan since 2003.
I love just your story in general. How did you take it as a new person in town to the organization that it is today? Because I think a lot of us have thoughts and ideas, but they stay there in our heads. So how do you get it from a thought into reality?
Yeah, so actually for me, I had been an entrepreneur for a while. I was an entrepreneur while I was in Chicago, but more on a small scale. So it's just really having access to the right resources. And that's one of the reasons I founded MAFI, because not only is it important for women to have resources, but knowing where to go to get those resources. And so I wanted to have an organization where we could make sure women all across the state had access to the resources that were available. There's tons of great organizations here in Michigan, in the city of Detroit, that can help you formulate your idea, can help you with funding, help you with mentoring. So I just wanted to make sure that women knew about those resources, because what I found is that a lot of times they just didn't know. Like me, when I first moved here, of course, I didn't know. But when you bring groups of women together and you're sharing ideas and resources, you tend to learn a lot. And it also helps you to formulate your idea just listening to the ideas of others.
Yeah, so why reinvent the wheel each and every time? Let's collaborate together. There may be some guys out there watching this that says, well, what about us? Why support just women businesses?
Yeah, well, really entrepreneurs in general, I want to be honest, entrepreneurs in general face many, many challenges. But as we all know, women face even more challenges just because of our gender. We have less access to funding. We are left out of a lot of conversations. We're not at a lot of those tables where decisions are being made. So it's really important to have these types of organizations to support women because we are underrepresented.
So knowing that right now we're in the middle of a pandemic, a crisis like our country has never seen before, what do you think is going to be the impact coming out of this for female entrepreneurs? Is it actually going to spur new businesses, or is it taking away from some of those businesses that were just started?
Well, I'm seeing a little bit of both, but I'm seeing more of new businesses. I'm seeing more women using this time that we're in now to create new solutions. So they're coming up with new ideas, new products, and new services to solve some of the challenges that we are facing today. So you do see a rise in the number of businesses. Also, what I see is some of those businesses are starting to shift to online businesses, and more businesses are going digital. So you see an increase in e-commerce and those types of businesses as well.
Which is great, because we just had the gentleman on from the Subscription Trade Association, which really is about digital marketing and digital businesses. So knowing that, and I'm thinking about parents that are at home right now, the ones that are lucky enough to actually even be able to work remotely, but they're also trying to juggle that job and that career while their child is at home trying to learn remotely. So is this, and could this be a good time for women to jump into a business that maybe they wanted to start, but didn't want to leave that security of that 9 to 5?
Yeah, it's absolutely a good time. It's always a good time to go into business. So definitely the work-life balance is probably a lot more challenging for those women who do have children at home. So now, in addition to you maybe working a 9 to 5 job that is now a work from home, maybe you have a small business on the side, but now you have homeschool as well. That's been thrown into the mix of all that. So although there are those challenges, it's still a really great time. There's tons of opportunities for women, especially women working from home. And so this has just made it even more so.
Tonya McNeal-Weary with us here on the Oakland County Megacast. She is the founder and executive director for the Michigan Association for Female Entrepreneurs. And piggybacking off of what you just said about the work-life balance, if someone wants to go it alone and try to start up a new business, one of the good things is maybe they can shift that time frame to after when they need to try to help their kids with homeschooling, or they can shift those meetings around. But are some businesses better to start now than others?
Definitely the digital space right now is where it's at. With the shutdown and those things that's really impacting those brick and mortar businesses, really that digital, that e-commerce, that online is really the place to be. So we're seeing a lot of those businesses that were not already online have shifted to digital. We've seen businesses who had to pivot, what they were doing. Maybe they had a brick and mortar, but had to shift to more of an e-commerce platform because of the pandemic. I myself, I run a business, and my business is definitely feeling some of that impact as well. But my business is a consultancy. And so it's easier for me in consulting to shift versus someone with the actual brick and mortar where your business relies on customers coming into that business.
Top 3 businesses that you would say are going to be here post-pandemic that you recommend people research and consider getting into?
Yeah, definitely the e-learning space is really growing. So a lot of online training companies, coaching, business coaching services online is really growing. You just had a wonderful speaker talk about the subscription box business, which is really huge. And that's something that's really growing. And I've been seeing a lot of that as well.
But if I'm sitting at home and I'm like, oh, I have to pay the light bill, I have to pay my rent, I have to pay my car payment, and I'm thinking about taking that step out, how do you get over the fear to make it a reality?
Yeah, I think being part of organizations such as Michigan Association for Female Entrepreneurs, and there's other great organizations out there as well. But when you are a part of those organizations and you're talking to people that are in the same situation, they have the same fears, they have the same challenges, I think it makes it a lot easier because then you know that you're not in it alone, you're not by yourself. And it's also helpful to share ideas, to network, to make those connections. So really, that's really what it's about. It's about building your network, connecting with organizations such as MAFI and other great organizations where you can connect with other women who, like you, may have that same challenge or have those fears as well.
One of the things that's hard right now, networking. Business is all about networking, and there's nothing like that in-person interaction and those organic conversations, and sometimes too, those organic meetings that come out of some of the trade associations, seminars and weekend conferences and things of that nature. But that world has changed now. How are you guys addressing that issue? I know you have a conference coming up. Yeah. I would imagine it's going to be virtual.
Yes, so we have, and I'm so glad that you mentioned it. We have our Women Entrepreneurs Conference, which is taking place actually tomorrow. This is an annual conference that has been going on now, and we are in our 8th year. In 8 years, this is our first time ever going digital. So this will be the first time the conference will be online. So there is, that shift to from that in-person where you're actually connecting and shaking hands and making that personal connection face-to-face, to now we have this online platform, and bringing that same experience online to the attendees is what we're trying to do.
So this has been a learning process for all of us. And knowing that, Tonya, how is that working? How did you have to rethink how you do a conference so that people, number one, attend, and number two, actually get what they need to get out of it?
Yeah, so definitely at first, and I will be honest and say, when we made the shift to all of our meetings being online, it was okay, it was fun, it was still a way to keep engaged and to connect. So it was like the next best thing. Now that we're in, I don't know what month this is, but now everybody's getting to the point to where it's like, okay, enough of these online events. We're getting kind of zoomed out, in a sense. And so how do you take that and make it that experience that people can really enjoy after they have gotten so burned out with the online events? I think at first we were all just so excited that we can still have this way of connecting and engaging. And then like after that 100th meeting, it's like, okay, I'm ready to get back in person. But I think we've done a really good job. We've added some really great elements to our online conference, which is taking place tomorrow, the Women Entrepreneurs Conference. We have a virtual networking lounge where you can actually meet and connect. You can video call those people that you want to connect with. You have that 1-to-1 3-minute session networking that you can do virtually online, and you can see each other. So that's really great. We also have a virtual coaching lab where you can connect with expert business coaches that can help you in various areas of your business. We have virtual expo booths, so that's going to be really exciting. So really trying to take what we've done in person and create that same experience online.
Although I will say the one thing about virtual is you don't come home with all the swag. But I will say, typically the swag is the little stuff that you throw out anyway once you get home. But once you're going booth to booth, you're like, I need that. I need that. How many stress balls does an individual need?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we've tried to do is get really creative. And so we do have digital swag. So now you're going to have all of these downloadable things that you can take with you away from the conference. And I do want to say thanks to our official event sponsors who helped to make this possible, and that is Facebook. Facebook has given us some digital swag. So we have attendees that will be actually getting Facebook ad credits. We have Google as well as one of our official event partners, and so want to thank them as well. They've been a part of our conference for the last 2-3 years, and so when we made the shift to digital, they still wanted to support and be part of the event. So I want to say thanks to them.
And that's great. And in all honesty, if you're a business person, it seems like that swag that you can walk away from this conference and actually utilize.
Yes, absolutely. A lot of great tips, a lot of downloadable books, and a lot of great things that women could take away with them and actually apply and implement in their business immediately.
And so you mentioned that the conference is actually going to be taking place tomorrow. Can people still sign up?
Absolutely. Registration is still available. And the great thing, the best part of all, is that registration is free. So you can actually go to our website, which is www.mafe.Detroit. That's MAFE Detroit.org. And you can sign up for free.
Before we let you go, just a couple more minutes with you here on the Oakland County MegaCast. Before we let you go, what words of advice do you have to women out there who are considering taking this huge leap of faith and joining, the independent entrepreneurial world?
Yeah, I would definitely say go for it. Definitely pursue your passion, pursue your dream, but don't go at it alone. Connect with organizations such as Matthew. You don't have to be in this by yourself. As we all know, entrepreneurship can already be a lonely space, right? And now that we're under the pandemic and people are at home by themselves and you don't have that face-to-face interaction, it's even more lonelier. So we don't want women to think that they are by themselves. Organizations like Matthew is here. I would encourage them to get involved with our organization. We have a very supportive group of entrepreneurs that can help and support them along the way. We do have a Facebook page that they can interact and engage with. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram, and we're on Twitter. I would just say to definitely go for it, but don't go at it alone and don't think that they're by themselves.
And so quickly before we let you go, you just mentioned about social media. How important has social media been for your organization and other women in the business world to connect them during the pandemic, which can be a time of isolation?
Absolutely. I think social media has been wonderful. It's definitely a way to stay engaged and to stay involved because it can get quite lonely. I don't know where I would be right now without social media if I didn't have, my Facebook friends and my LinkedIn connections that I can still engage and interact with. If I was just sitting at home and just looking at the walls, I think I would be crazy by now. So it's really a great tool to utilize that and to leverage that tool to really build on your connections, because we will be together again, hopefully soon. And so by that time, you will have already built up your network and your circle of influence that now you can meet face to face.
And, and you mentioned LinkedIn. I think I was reading a study once, when you're looking for a new job or you're trying to reach out, LinkedIn is such a vital key component. But I will say I'm not much of a LinkedIn person. I have an account, but I don't engage. What advice do you have for people to utilize the platforms that are out there? Which are the best ones for connecting in the business world?
Yeah, and so for that question, it really depends on the type of business you're in and who your customers are. You have to go where your customers are. I think if you try to be on all platforms, you would just go nuts. I would say to really just take those platforms where your customers are and focus on those customers. So for some people that's in, the retail space, Pinterest, if you have things to demonstrate and show, you definitely want to be on YouTube if you're doing demonstrations and videos. So it just really depends on the individual business and where your customers are. For my personal business outside of Matthew, I do run a global management consulting firm. And so for me, my clients are more on LinkedIn. So that's where my clients are. So you have to go where your customers are. If it's Twitter, if it's Facebook, if it's LinkedIn, if it's Pinterest, if it's YouTube, focus on that platform where you're most likely to reach your target audience.
Tonya McNeal-Weary with us here on the Oakland County MegaCast. She is the founder and executive director for the Michigan Association for Female Entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for not only being with us here today, but also thank you for what you're doing to promote women in business, because being a female does offer different challenges in the business world. And I think it's so great that we have organizations such as yours to reach out and connect one another to not only promote and grow our business, but also so we don't feel so alone, especially right now during the COVID-19 crisis and a pandemic where so many people can feel so isolated. So thank you so much for what you do. And we're wishing you the best of luck. Quickly again, before we let you go, can you let people know again how they can sign up for tomorrow's conference if they want to still join?
Yes, so the easiest way is through our website. It'll take you to the events link, and that is www.mafedetroit, that's M as in Michigan, afedetroit.org. And they can also find out about membership while they're there as well.
Great. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time.